Right now is such a great time for people to take advantage of trying to, renew their skills and get new skills by going to a community college. There are so many programs reaching out to, especially those that are lower income here in our area, for them to get a better future. To talk a little bit more, let's bring in Peter Provenzano. You're the Chancellor for the Oakland Community College. How are you?
I'm doing great, Ronnie and Tyler. It's been a few months since we last talked. You guys are looking great. I'm sure you're obviously getting used to the new Zoom, the Zoom world.
We all are, aren't we?
Yeah. Yep.
I really wish I had a crystal ball and had stock in Zoom prior to the pandemic, because I'd never even heard of it.
I know, it's amazing. I remember the first time I had my first Zoom meeting was over a year ago. And I mean, we would have it from time to time, but I thought, my goodness, I need to learn this because I'm probably going to be doing it for another couple of weeks. Little did I know it would be over a year. So
we've all become Zoom experts.
Yes.
And with that, Chancellor, if we can ask you, how are things going at the community college? Are you guys back in person yet?
No, we're still mostly remote. We have some hybrid classes and face-to-face classes for the labs and a lot of the hands-on learning. As you know, we do a lot of skilled trades training and, from culinary to welding and robotics. And so they've been meeting in a hybrid format. But we've been mostly remote for the pandemic. It's really just simply been the best way to keep everybody safe and on track with their academic journey. But we are anticipating as vaccines continue to roll out, there's a lot of optimism out there. We are beginning to plan for a potential return to class, return to work this fall. So we've got a task force that's meeting on a regular basis to discuss what that would look like.
So with that, Chancellor, too, do you anticipate, though, that some type of hybrid model will still be offered post-pandemic?
That's one of the really exciting things. And you were talking to your previous guest about the silver lining about the pandemic. And I think there are silver linings. And at OCC, the silver lining is that we have learned to provide, programming and student services in an online format, which is really exciting because it provides more flexibility for our students. So yes, I do believe that we will continue. I know we're going to have more online classes, but I also believe that we're going to continue to have more and more student services online, hybrid, which is a combination of both, but also offer a lot of face-to-face classes. And so the point is that we've learned ways to be more flexible for our students, which is really, really a benefit for them.
How is enrollment right now?
Enrollment's been good. At Oakland Community College, we just have an awesome team. Our enrollments, despite the pandemic, has been pretty steady throughout the pandemic. Every semester, we have been up a few percent or so. And that is, again, I credit the entire team, the ability to pivot and move to an online learning environment. And that really is in comparison to a lot of other community colleges and universities who are seeing double-digit declines. And so we've been fortunate.
Some of the students, are they students that maybe would be going to a 4-year university, but really, why am I paying the extra tuition if I'm remote learning at home here locally?
We've had, especially during our summer months, we have a pretty large, what we call guest student population that are, they're coming home from Michigan State University, University of Michigan, other universities, and they take classes during the summer at OCC. And we saw a lot of that happening this summer as well as last summer because of the pandemic, because they really were looking at this saying, well, here's an opportunity to have a high quality education at a fraction of the cost at OCC. And so we are seeing an uptick in that.
Right. We're speaking with the Chancellor at Oakland Community College, Chancellor Provenzano. And with that, I have to say, I was on the website looking at the cost per credit. Yeah. It is astounding to me, by the way. So really, when you're looking at this, you're wondering why more parents aren't doing this or more students aren't doing this, because we do know a lot of these credits can transfer now as well.
You're exactly right. And so we are blessed to have one of the lowest in-district tuition rates of any community college in the state of Michigan. But also that was really what community colleges were designed for. Oakland Community College, Oakland County, there's a tax millage that helps to subsidize and bring the cost of education down to really make it more accessible to all students. And so we're trying to get the word out prior to the pandemic, even during the pandemic, and it'll continue post-pandemic, about the incredible value of a college degree at a community college, because it leads to, so we say there's so many pathways to success. There are so many degrees, credentials that we have that lead to a job, a high-paying job, a high in-demand job right away after maybe just a year of or less of schooling and training. Or 50% of our students transfer to a university. We're the largest transfer institution in the state of Michigan. And so that's something else that we're very proud of. So it's a way to bring the cost of education of a four-year degree way down. It's really like a built-in scholarship when you think about coming to OCC first and then transferring to a university.
So if I can ask you, do you anticipate that enrollment is going to be going up? Because we do have some of these programs right now that are being pushed through the state, focus on some of the trades, but also our frontline workers. Are you seeing anyone take advantage of this program yet?
I sure hope so. I sure hope to see enrollment go up, mostly because we are part of an initiative called Oakland 80 by 30. And so the goal is by 2030, we would like to see 80% of working adults in Oakland County have a degree or credential. And why this is important is we know that it leads to an enhanced standard of living. It makes, with training, it allows you to be more employable. But we also know that it's better for the entire region, for the entire county, because employers come and they locate where the talent is. And so it's critical that we bring more and more of our residents and students through the educational system so that we can all, as a community, be more prosperous. And so I hope that residents take advantage of all of these incredible programs. There's never been a better time to come to a community college. For example, most recently, we had the governor announce the Futures for Frontliners program, where if you are a frontline worker, you're able to attend community college for free. There's also Michigan Reconnect, which is something that was recently rolled out by the state of Michigan, which essentially gives free community college tuition to working adults. And most recently, President Biden rolled out his plan, which is really a nationwide plan, to provide free community college tuition, which is really exciting because it's really the first plan that we've seen in a long time that not only focuses on the financial hurdles in providing free community college tuition, but it offers a tremendous amount of funding for what we refer to as the wraparound services that are so critical to student success. Because what we've learned over the years is that financial hurdles are just one hurdle, but there are so many other barriers that get in the way that need to be funded. And Biden's plan appears to do that. For example, funding, help for mental health, transportation, counseling, but it just really the basic emergency needs that students have that get in the way. Life gets in the way of our students. And it was interesting. There was just a recent study. There's an article in the Detroit News about the Detroit Promise, which is just a marvelous program where Detroit students have the ability to go to a community college for free, including Oakland Community College. And they did a study over 10 years, and there's so many students that never graduate, despite the fact that they have free college, because life gets in the way. And so it's so important that we focus on funding and providing those wraparound students so that they can persist and complete.
Yeah, transportation you mentioned as well, and we know for so many people it's childcare.
Yes, and childcare. I failed to mention that. That is a huge burden on not only working adults, with their jobs, but students as well.
And I will say, when we hear this word free, it's not for, it's funded by taxpayers. So, but there is reason why we should support, because we're lifting everyone up, which lifts the community up. And with this, do you think that some of these programs and the talk now around the need for so many skilled trade workers is going to shift the conversation in America? Because I feel like we went from skilled trades to pushing that 4-year college degree. And now we're getting back to skilled trades because we know that there is such a desperate shortage across the United States, but a lot of the skilled trade jobs pay more than jobs with 4-year degrees.
I sure hope it does help change that conversation, because I agree with you that the pendulum tends to swing too far towards skilled trades or towards a 4-year degree. The reality is we need both. We need talent out there that has a 4-year degree or a master's degree or a certificate. We need all of that. And so I think it's important to keep that balance. So I'm hoping that all of these, the free community college tuition sparks that conversation, that it's important to find a pathway to prosperity, and that it really starts with an education. It really starts with some form of training. And one of the things we're trying to get the word out is that, you can come to OCC and take, here's a very, successful pathway. You take a program that might be a 1-year certificate. You graduate with a welding certificate. You're making, $50,000, $60,000 a year, but that may not be the end. Years later, you may take what you learned at OCC and transfer to university and get your bachelor's degree. And now you're managing people, and you continue to work your way up at the corporation. So there are so many different pathways with on-ramps and off-ramps on your educational journey. And so that's one of the other things that is really great about the conversation about free community college tuition. You're right, nothing's free. It's funded by the taxpayers, but it does start that conversation and hopefully plants the seeds in a lot of minds that there are these pathways that already exist. But the reality is, too, the exciting thing is we don't have to wait for, Biden's proposal to be approved. Again, there are so many pathways that are free to our students right now. You don't have to wait. So there are Pell Grants, there are federal financial aid. There's millions of dollars of scholarships, Ronnie, that are just sitting on the table waiting for students to apply. And so we're trying to get the word out that there are avenues already to dramatically reduce the cost of tuition, including going to a community college. You don't have to wait.
And so with that, Chancellor, do you find, especially when we're looking at older adults, going back to school, maybe they're 25, 30, 35, could one of the hurdles, them trying to get transcripts, just those little steps of trying to get back into school, what are the hurdles that you're hearing?
Little things like transcripts, testing. So we're doing a lot of work around helping students become college ready, prepare them for college level math, college level English. We're providing tutoring, counseling, intensive counseling, all of those support services to help a student come back. Because especially if you've been out of school for a little while, it's really hard to come back, take that. I wouldn't pass I probably wouldn't be able to pass the math test. But the key here is that with some tutoring, a little bit of coaching, you can get up to speed and be wildly successful in college. And so we're trying to get the word out that the support services are there to help make you successful. One of the things that we say a lot around OCC is, our goal is to make student success unavoidable. And that's something that we're really passionate about. And so if that's something that a resident or a potential student's a little apprehensive about, well, we've got you. Together we can do this.
So what do you see as some of the most popular programs for students to go into right now?
It really runs the gamut. What the areas that are really hot are the skilled trades, so our welding, those classes book up very, very quickly, robotics, CNC machining, we do a ton of work, and a lot of training in that. But we also, because I said we're the largest transfer institution, a lot of what we refer to as the liberal arts areas, like math, science, English, very, very popular. And students are taking those and they're transferring to universities. In fact, science, we have a brand new science building that is well underway. We're hoping to do a ribbon cutting ceremony this fall at our Auburn Hills campus. And so that's very exciting. And that's going to have all of our, a lot of biology labs, chemistry labs, and a new CIS lab, which, by the way, is very, very popular. And then police academy, fire academy, those are in very, very high demand. Our cadets, there's nothing more wonderful than watching our police academy and fire academy graduate. We do a wonderful ceremony, and you see almost all of them have jobs at local police departments. Nursing is another one. All of our nurses practically all of our nurses in our program have a job and they're hired right out of college.
And we know nursing school can be very difficult to get into. So this is a good way to kind of get ahead of the game, per
Yes.
se, if you want to transfer into one of the four-year programs. And I will say, I was lucky enough, I went to college in Charleston, but they had a program where you paid C of C tuition, but you could go to the community college because it was hard to get into some of the classes. Let me tell you, students, if you're listening, take your foreign languages, take your math, your English at the community college, transfer it over. You'll be so much happier. So with that, Chancellor, before we let you go, do you guys have a deadline right now as to when students can apply for the summer courses?
Right now, we've already started summer courses. We do have some summer late start courses that start in July. If you visit our website, you'll be able to go on and register for courses, and we'll walk you through. It's a very easy step-by-step process to register, but we're already starting to gear up for the fall. So we'll be making an announcement in the next few weeks as far as what the fall schedule will look like. And registration for that really begins early July. And so we're really very excited to try to bring everybody back face-to-face as soon as we can. It's all about getting the vaccines. And so we're really encouraging people to obviously it's their decision, but to get a vaccine because it just makes it easier to keep everybody safe.
So before we let you go too, how are you doing when it comes to the side of professors? Because we know so many of the schools, when it comes to high schools, elementary schools, there is such a teacher shortage out there right now. Is that still transferring over into the community college world or no?
It is, especially, and we talked about the skilled trades area, because oftentimes in robotics and CNC machining and welding, there's such a high demand for them in the industry, and there's so much overtime for them. They're making so much money that it's hard for them to come back and teach. But what we're seeing is a lot of them wanting to give back and come back to train the next generation because they realize what an amazing career they've had. And it all started at OCC, and so they want to give back. And so we're seeing more and more of that. So we'd love to encourage more and more of the tradespeople to come back and help us prepare the next generation.
Chancellor Provenzano with us here on the MegaCast. He's with Oakland Community College. Chancellor, anything maybe I didn't touch on that you want to add before we let you go?
No, I think you covered a lot of ground. I would just simply say, and you really started your program saying there's never been a better time to register at a community college with all of the support services and the free tuition programs that are out there. There's never been a better time.
That is so true. Take advantage of these opportunities. It's one of the things that makes our community so great. Chancellor, again, we always appreciate your time, and good luck to you and your team this summer and the upcoming season as well.
Thank you, Ronnie. It's always a pleasure.